Good afternoon, world, and it is moments past noon in Waxahachie, Texas, deep in the heart of the Lone Star State. Today is March 27th. Happy birthday to my daughter, Kristen. It's the 51st anniversary, 51st episode of Grit and Good News. We had a big old time Tuesday for our 50th. And of course, we're broadcasting live from our palatial studio here in downtown Waxahachie in the shadows of the Ellis County Courthouse. We have our man Sammy Brooks, capably running the board. We got our man Scott Brooks right here is my co-host, and I'm your co-host, Jeff Lynch. And it is a pleasure and honor to be here. And before we get deep, we got a lot of stuff to cover. We had a little bit more success finding famous people who wore number 51. It's a
Yep, I can
great,
think of one, right? Two. I can think of two.
and number two is a guy you previously said was number 50 or 49.
Oh,
But
really?
but number
But
one,
but their number, I can think of two number 51s right off the top of my head.
and one of them,
Randy Johnson.
yeah,
And
he's
the
he.
other, you know the other Sammy? Sammy's listening, talking to his girlfriend on his phone. Ichiro.
I got him down as number three. What about Dick Butkus is
Oh
number
yeah,
one?
yeah, yeah.
Dick
I'm
Butkus.
today's opening day. I'm thinking baseball.
When I was looking at these abbreviated bios and I'm seeing 8 Pro Bowls, I go, 8 Pro Bowls. That's all he had. He only played from 65 to 73. He
Yeah,
was
well,
Pro
back
Bowl
then
every
they
year.
didn't have, I mean, they had tin cans on their head. I mean, he couldn't last any longer than
Oh,
that.
and the way he hit people as a
But
linebacker,
he lived to be in his 80s, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
nice. Randy Johnson played from 88 to 2009, all with Arizona, five
No,
times.
he didn't. No, who did he start with? He came to fame with another team,
Okay,
Seattle Mariners.
Seattle
Don't you
Mariners.
remember him up there?
I don't.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I do now. I do
he
now.
had a bird one time that flew across as he was pitching the ball. The bird came, hit the ball, hit the bird.
5 times he won the Cy Young,
Yeah,
10 times an All-Star.
he was a stud.
Ichiro Suzuki.
Ichiro, is that same guy's Ichiro?
Ichiro Suzuki from '01 to 19. How about 311 career average? That is
Yeah,
off the charts.
first ballot Hall of Famer.
Jim Ringo from the Packers.
Yeah, I don't remember him.
He was the center.
I don't remember him.
Remember when Jerry Kramer made the big block to take Bart Starr over the end
In the
zone
Ice
in
Bowl.
the Ice Bowl
Yeah,
that
he
beat the
was.
Cowboys and
Yeah,
sent them? But Kramer made the big block. Ringo at center had the whole rest of the other line taken care of,
yeah,
so Ringo could take him out.
yeah. Cool.
Um, Ken Norton Jr.
Yeah,
You
there's
know what I
another
like
one.
about him? Your dad is heavyweight champion of the world. You say, I'm a good athlete. I'm tough. I'm not boxing like my dad. I'm,
Yeah,
I'm going my own
he
way.
did his own thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now he's probably assistant coach somewhere.
Uh, 12 years in the league, 1,274 tackles,
Yeah, he was a good ball player.
100 tackles
Yeah,
every year in
yeah,
and year
I
out.
remember him.
That's it. That's what we got.
Very good.
Okay.
So I like doing those numbers. Thank you for being here. Jeff and I are here every Tuesday and Thursday from noon to 1 Central Standard Time here in the great state of Texas, in the great city of Metroplex of Dallas, in the great city of Waxahachie,
Amen.
right?
Amen.
So we are thrilled to be here, thrilled that you are here with us as well. We have a lot to talk about today, as we do every show, and we love it. Let me give you some updates, and we'll mix in some Waxahachie stuff here. Just an update we had in the Sun yesterday, a story about the Waxahachie School Board on its search right now for another superintendent. I'll tell you that I've been here. Anytime I've been here, which is almost 11 years, we have had three three or four superintendents. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know if this is a stepping stone or there are things that we can't see that go on to make it a tough job. I don't really know, but we're in the board is in the process right now of naming its lone finalist for the position. According to Judd McCutcheon, great guy, great school board member, said that this was this was the search with the most applicants that they've had in a long time. Uh, it has been narrowed down to final 8 applicants. The first round of interviews with those 8 occurred on Tuesday, this past Tuesday, and the second round will happen on April the 8th. The goal is to name a loan finalist around April 23rd or 24th. And the way school boards do it is when they name a loan finalist, that is their choice. So uh, they then by law have to, once that person's named as loan finalist, they then have to wait 20 or 21 days after that before they can officially hire that person. So there you go on the
You see if
school.
anybody comes up with any dirt in 3 weeks.
Yeah, I guess. I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah, that's the way it works. And then another story, there was a big debate at the last council meeting about Lions Park. Uh, the council was given the opportunity to vote on $850,000 in supplemental appropriations uh, for the park, which requires a lot of work to be made the kind of park the city wants it. That vote was passed in what was a 3-1 vote. The lone holdout was Travis Smith, and Travis, in our story yesterday, went on to ANN Council, expressed his concerns, and he expressed them effectively. And I see where he's coming from. I'm not sure exactly how I feel about it, but I want the park, whatever we do, I want it to be top notch.
Is that the new one behind the YMCA?
No,
No,
that is the redevelopment of Lions Park.
Lions Park.
Yeah,
Okay.
which is a pretty big park, and there's some work that needs to be done. There's a pool that was put in or redone a couple years ago. But I want to let you know about those two things as it relates to Waxahachie. This morning, we heard during the confirmation hearings, we heard a lot of bluster. Hey, Terry, yep, go Ranger, taking on the Red Sox. But we heard a lot of talk with these nominees and those senators and congressmen, or the committees that were trying to vet them. And I use the word lightly. We heard a lot from the nominees like Kash Patel, Tulsi, Hegseth, that we're not going to play games here. And it's the old FAFO thing, F around and find out. That's the way we're going to approach our jobs. And sure enough, that has happened. As you know, lots of criminals have been sent back to El Salvador. In this morning's news is that a story in this morning's news, the top MS-13 leader in the United States was found, arrested, and is going to be sent to wherever he needs to be sent to. I'd say hell, but hell on earth. He was arrested, ironically enough, in Virginia, Washington, D.C., since they're right there kind of all together in that quadrant of the state of Virginia. You know how old he was? Sammy, how old was that MS-13 gang leader? Take a guess. My son doesn't like me putting him on the spot, but he's got to learn.
58.
Cut it in
24.
half.
Wow.
24-year-old gang leader of a vicious. I mean, we got Trinidad Aragua, we got MS-13.
Wow.
Those are the two that just are vicious. They are like rabid dogs. I mean, they're
The idea that anybody is not in favor of
yeah,
deporting these people is just
yeah.
ludicrous.
And that's another good point. I want to take us off course, but I'm telling you, our judiciary is run them up. And we got some goofball judge in Pennsylvania telling our president he can't do things. Then we got another judge telling the president he can't do this thing. And all the
Well,
while we
we've got
got
a.
these.
It's a screwed up. I interrupt you. I'm
That's all
sorry,
right.
but
No,
it's screwed up system that local federal judges make rulings with national implications. How,
yeah.
how do we ever?
It's the way the system, unfortunately, it's the way the system's set up. It's such a sorry answer. But
You know
but
what I
it,
used to tell my wife when I was helping her run a company when
uh,
her husband died and she
yeah,
took it over, didn't know anything about it. And people, I said, honey, you cannot criticize people for doing something if you've given them the ability to do it. You can't. That's the deal. If they can do it, I mean, we can criticize that particular ruling, but our problem is a system that allows
yeah,
that to work. That's
yeah,
the problem. You
yeah.
got you got to drill down to
Yeah,
root
so
causes.
next week, we'll talk more about this next week, but I want you to know that next week, the Speaker of the House has announced that there will be hearings on how to calibrate the the judiciary, these clown judges who believe they ought to be running the country. This, to our judge in Pennsylvania to stop airplanes that carry the worst humans on the planet, to make them try to come back, or that they can't leave at all, is is asinine on its face. So, but I just if you haven't seen that story, FBI under Kash Patel's leadership has arrested one of the top three MS-13 gang leaders at the he's 24 years old, which is a good thing for the United States. All right.
Here we go.
So we're hearing all about Sammy. Chuck says, "Yeah, Chuck. He knows it's all in love. I'm doing to him to what my daddy did to me. See how I turned out, Sammy? What you have to look forward to, namely this. See that shine, Sam? Look.
You
I,
gave it a nice buff this morning.
I
I
did.
didn't have to do that.
No, I don't give it a buff, but I ain't doing that cue
That's
ball
a whole
stuff.
reflection, Dad.
I know, but that's natural. I'm not going to become one of these dudes that does that. So we have it.
You
We
can get
have.
a little shine out of my new
Yeah.
hard part there.
Whatever. So we have the news being captivated this week by a mistake made by Michael Walls, who's owned up to it, the national security advisor. Good afternoon, Chuck. Thank you for being here. The national security advisor in Trump's administration has taken responsibility. I don't know that he's the one who actually did it, but he's taken responsibility, which any good leader would do. He's taken responsibility. Oh, dumb. Now,
And there are a lot of other good expressions, but Chrome Dome is one of the best.
yeah.
Yes.
That's an example of calling somebody a name that's fun and in jest compared to Hitler, right? That's a
Right.
good example.
We're about to talk about that.
We are in a few minutes,
Yeah.
but I want to talk about this mistake, this text. So this text goes out to a number of people. Uh, I think any text that's coming out of national security or from the Defense Department or wherever, in this case, this one's coming out of national security, ought to be considered classified enough that we don't want to send it to anybody outside those institutions. Well, in this case, a text about taking action against the Houthis in Yemen, the Yetis in the high school,
We're getting our
high,
vowels in here. That's for
the
sure.
Yemen high school Yetis, about taking action, taking action, military action, included of all people in the media, Jeffrey Goldberg, who is in my opinion, a goober reporter. He is at the Atlantic. He was involved in the Russia hoax. He was
And I
involved in
thought I
other
heard he
stuff.
was the editor too.
He may be an editor in chief. I don't know, but the Atlantic is a far left magazine. I don't know that it's has very much reach in America, but it does now in the sense that Jonah Goldberg is not Jonah. Jeffrey Goldberg is the reporter who was on that text.
Because guess what? All publicity is good
Yeah,
publicity. Just ask Jasmine. Okay.
yeah. The question of we ought to talk about that one day because Robert Morris just got arrested for child abuse in 1982 through 1987.
Right.
That's not good publicity. That's not good in any way,
No,
right? So that notion that good publicity or
that's the one
publicity is,
exception to that rule.
yeah, well, so you
Yeah.
can make the argument for Crockett. Although for us, her being shown to be the goof she is good for the right, but she probably loves that publicity, even though it makes her
There
look
was a
bad.
poll the other day, and she was third on the list of people who are the real leadership of the Democratic
Can
Party
you
right now.
imagine if let's just say
Right.
for kicks and giggles we were Democrats, I would walk from here to Washington D.C. to make sure that wasn't the case. Now, that's like having Pee Wee Herman, the head of our football, that we allow him to be the head of our football team. We
Y-
wouldn't let that happen.
And you know who were 1 and 2? Let's just say they all share the same
AOC,
AOC
Bernie,
two.
Bernie.
Kamala.
Oh, Kamala.
Kamala.
Yeah, there's a Three Musketeers for you. All right, back to this mistake. So we've got the National Security Administration, National Security Director Michael Walls, uh, by all accounts, a great guy, effective, has been involved in DC military for a long time. We send a text out that it says basically we're going to take action against the UTs. We're going to bomb. We're going to do this, that. Uh, he relishes it because it puts him in the spotlight and because he's got something in his possession. Imagine if we were to get something misadvertent or inadvertently a text from say Joe Biden, and it said, "Hunter, let's meet this afternoon to talk with the head of China." And we would do something with that, right? We wouldn't just treat it as a benign mistake. Now I will tell you that we would have a discussion about for the good of the country. although we hold this and possess it, should we do anything with it? Or should we say, even to an administration we don't like, should we say, for the good of the country, we're going to keep this between us?
I just got to tell you, and I hope you'll always remember me for doing you right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
exactly.
we would say, as tempting as it would be to put that all over, be good for our company, be good for our brands, be good for Grit and Good News, it would be awesome. We would be the talk of the town. I think both of us, including Sammy, and others in the organization, would say we can't do that. That is wrong. It's unethical. On the other hand, you got Jeffrey Goldberg, who's now going to parlay this into something that is more than what it is. Matter of fact, there are claims being made today that he has overplayed it. Um, I don't know. We'll see. The real issue here is Michael Walls and that group. I mean, Segev, Gabbard, Cash Patel, John Ratcliffe, who's a Texan, who's the head of the CIA, was in the hearing yesterday or the day before. These are smart, good, strong people. They're not going to do anything nefarious, I don't think. They might make a mistake, and if they make a mistake, we all make mistakes. We got to learn from it. We can't let this happen again. The question really is there anything nefarious going on beyond the simple mistake factor? Meaning, is the investigation going to uncover that there's somebody rogue on the inside that made that happen, that leaked it, that allowed it to happen, that coordinated this to happen? Is Jeffrey Goldberg uh, culpable in any way? That's what I'm interested in seeing. I don't think the average human, none of the three of us, woke up today saying, "Man, I am worried about my future because of that text."
Tell me again the name of the platform. It starts with an S.
Signal.
Signal. So the other thing that has bothered me on this deal is um, people questioning not just that the guy was on the list. The problem was the guy was on the distribution list, but other people are questioning the whole thing about Signal and Hegseth's opinion and Trump's opinion is, you know, we walked into this situation. This is how we've been doing business for some time. We
Yeah.
didn't just decide to
Yeah.
go on Signal.
No,
This
Signal.
is how we were running this.
Several administrations.
Yeah.
Yeah, going
So
back a
you know,
decade at least.
but it's the typical Democrat pile on. Like, well, why are we doing this? Well,
Yeah.
your guy Joe was doing it before you. You
Yeah,
know, and
I think it's the thing. It's similar to Rachel Maddow of MSNBC saying, "Can you, Elon Musk is now involved and he's running the country and all that
yeah,
stuff, and saying he just got a $400 million deal contract for Tesla, the fleet deal for Teslas to be used, whatever it was going to be used, only to find out that Trump isn't the one who made the deal. Biden made the deal.
well,
So,
yeah, and I mean, like you can just put together $400 million deals in the last 6 weeks.
well,
You
yeah,
know, I mean,
plus a simple search by Maddow or by any other person would tell you that in this case, Signal has been used by more than one administration. It goes back to the Obama
exactly,
administration.
exactly.
So Signal appears to be on the hook for being a crappy piece of whatever. I don't
It's
even know
Zoom
what
on
you call it.
steroids.
So I think we're going to find out really as we should the truth. And the truth is we know a mistake was made. It appears it was made. Trump even has said it was a mistake. Uh, as for these congressmen, as you pointed out earlier in our prep, these congressmen now, one of them you were talking about had the audacity. It wasn't even Hegseth he was talking to. It was John Ratcliffe, who I just mentioned, and Tulsi. He said to both of them, "Is this?" It was a Democrats congressman. Is this an example of a mistake being made by Pete Hegseth because he was drunk? You know how rank that is, how offensive that is. It's just awful. It's awful, and that dude ought to be whatever voted out of country. And none of that. We don't need any of that in this country. So we're going to keep you informed of what's going on with this. It is a big deal. It's us taking action in the Middle East, uh, and somehow a reporter. And if it was done, the reason I think it could potentially be done by somebody on the inside is because it was Jeffrey Goldberg. That's the equivalent of including Rachel Maddow on it.
Well,
So
inside, I mean, you mean like
somebody on the inside, in the administration, a career bureaucrat or somebody else involved could have made that happen. It's Jeffrey Goldberg, and it's Trump and those guys certainly aren't going to. If the, there was a mistake on their side, obviously, if all things are what they appear to
are
be,
you
but
saying that he never has been and never will be invited into the
no,
press
no, they can't.
conferences,
Oh,
right?
Trump, all of them went after Jeffrey Goldberg yesterday, and they can't stand the dude because he tried to railroad Trump before with the Russia hoax and the impeachments and that sort of thing. So they wouldn't have chosen him, but somebody who wanted to get the word out through a reporter that doesn't care about what people think of him and is doing everything he can to get Trump, you would choose Jeffrey Goldberg.
You know,
So we'll keep you informed of that. I tell you, every time, every time we take a break and say everything's calm right now, can everything just continue to be? Bam, something happens, right? All right, so let's talk about from Aunt Jemima to Adolf Hitler. That was the headline in my column yesterday. Um, Not as strong as the previous week's column, but certainly down the same road. It got a lot of play and a lot of response. People are still responding as we speak. And the whole gist of the column, Jeffrey and Sammy, is to say that we, in our rush, and it's aimed at the Democrats. I obviously I said the left's obsession with labels, and some have responded to me from the left to say, wait a minute, it goes both ways. This happens both ways. And I would say at face value, certainly there are labels used by those on the right all the time. Trump calls Biden what?
Sleepy Joe,
He called Hillary what?
Crooked Hillary.
Yeah, and a variety of other people. So he does that. I think that kind of banter has always happened in politics. It happens on the basketball court, happens on the football field, happens in the boardroom probably. It happens. And so, but what I was trying to say is, wait a second. Do we understand when Trump calls Joe Biden Sleepy Joe? There's no undercurrent that's doing damage to somebody else, right?
Right.
And you're not calling Joe Biden evil. The most evil, if I said pick the most evil name, label, moniker, whatever in the world, the most evil one to call somebody, I can think of two: Satan, Lucifer, another
Hmm.
way, Hitler. Now, we might say, oh, any other, Putin. Somebody might say Putin. But the two that come to mind, and I would say probably for most people, the one that comes to mind is Hitler.
You know what? That's not. It's not the way nicknames normally work. Nicknames, and I'm going to talk about. I'm going to read you a little something, but here's the deal: calling somebody Hitler isn't using a nickname. That's just associating him with a terrible, terrible person.
Yeah.
Nicknames are clever and they're fun and they're descriptive and
And they're compelled by something that the person being called that actually is known for doing. Usually it's whimsical.
I've said it a million times. I will write a poem about anything I want. You know why I wrote this poem about nicknames? Because little Joe Morgan,
Yeah.
died, and then the next week Whitey Ford, two great baseball
Yeah.
players with two great nicknames died.
Right. Yep.
And I was just thinking how I love those nicknames. And I
Yeah.
wrote a poem about nicknames.
Yeah.
And here's the key that I make early before I list a bunch of great people in my life and their nicknames. And they were all affectionate in one way or the other. Nicknames are earned, some to praise, some to burn. They're either a show of affection or character rejection. They describe a trait that we love or hate.
Yeah.
That's what nicknames are about.
Yeah. So if I said to somebody, well, let's pick the person we dislike the most. Let's come up with a nickname for him. We would not choose Hitler.
No,
We would choose scoundrel. We would
right.
choose uh he walks goofy. We'd call him gimpy. I've been called names, back when I was a young man, and my buddies, they had I told you before, I was called Squinty when I played basketball in college up in Oregon, and because I when I woke up my eyes were all squinty. I was called Grasshopper. in high school because my legs are skinny, still are, like a just ask my wife, skinny like a grasshopper. Um,
I was called Simba,
yeah,
not because, before Simba the lion in the movie became popular, that was also a nickname for a big elephant, and I was a big heavy guy, and you
yeah,
know what? Yeah, I got called that from the second week of college, all through college. There were people who, when I graduated and I went up and they said Jeff Lynch, oh, I thought the guy's name was Jeff Simba. They thought that
yeah,
was my last name.
yeah. I mean,
It
and
was
so that
ubiquitous to me.
exactly, and it's not something we lose sleep over. I
No,
mean, people call Bush, not Bush, Trump, Orange Man all the time, right?
yeah,
I, that doesn't appear to bother him. Have you ever said? Have you ever heard Trump say anything in response to people calling him orange? Never. He calls the leader of North Korea Rocket Man,
Rocket Man.
Little Rocket Man. Um,
That's a cute
so
name.
so I don't. I mean, I think nicknames are cool. The
Yeah,
the issue with Aunt Jemima and Hitler is that one for anyone, whether the left or the right, it's done more so by the left. We know that uh, these labels, they're obsessed with them. They're obsessed with either creating them and using them, like Hitler, or they're obsessed with identifying a label like Aunt Jemima, a literal and figurative label. It was on the side of a
syrup.
syrup bottle. They're obsessed with saying that's bad, got to get it off. Well, what in my column was written to say, do you not realize what you're doing with what? Do you even know who Aunt Jemima is? Aunt Jemima was Nancy Green, a woman, a black woman who had accomplished so much in her life that she was honored, considered it an honor. So in all the haste of saying, see, that's bad, that's racist, that's racist, that's racist, when there was no racial meaning to it whatsoever, it was the opposite. It was an honor. The left gets rid of the honor. It's like with Lady Antebellum. The Dixie Chicks did the same thing. They now called the Chicks. Well, in the George Floyd era, the Lady Antebellum, which we know antebellum is meant to describe a southern plantation that were often uh, pictured and caricatured and owned by slave owners. But Lady Antebellum said that has nothing to do with our name. Well, our name has to do with we're from the South and we're country. That's all. And when I think of Lady Antebellum, I don't assign a racial overtone or undertone to it. I say that's a pleasant. I think of a farm breeze, the sunshine, the birds. That's what I think of. So the left rush to get after Lady Antebellum, and Lady Antebellum, like these clowns do, caves in and say, we're going to call ourselves Lady A. Well, little did they know that Lady A was owned by a black musician who relied on that name for his band or that was his brand, um, his livelihood. And so Lady Antebellum comes along and takes it away, and he has to take court action. And whatever happened, happened. I don't know the result, but that's an example of saying, well, just think for a second. It's like Rachel Maddow. Just think for a second when you want to claim that Trump and Elon Musk, in a cunning, conniving kind of way, said, I'll do a $400 million deal with you, Elon. I'll give you $400 million contract to provide us with uh, Tesla trucks. If Rachel Maddow would have spent 5 minutes to just Google it, she would have realized that that wasn't true. If somebody would have just said, "Wait a minute, we want to get rid of Aunt Jemima. Let's look up, make sure we know what Aunt Jemima is." When I use a quote in my columns, every single time I Google the person that wrote the quote to see what it is I need to know. Doesn't mean I'm going to use them if they're from the left or they were something I was opposed to. It's the quote that I'm after. It's the quote. So,
Right.
but I'll look them up to say, wait a minute, this guy. I don't want to quote somebody that's a serial killer, but it takes me all of 5 minutes. So that's the essence of the column. And I don't understand what's happening now is that people saying, wait a minute, Trump does it all the time. Trump does it all the time. So does the right. Scott Brooks, so do you. I saw a post of one of our folks said, Scott, take a look. They like to call out there in the office and say, Scott, you got to look at the post that was just made. So I'll go and look at it. And it was an well articulated post by Kelly Blackburn, who's the chair of the Democratic Party in Waxahachie. who I happen to like. We disagree strongly, vehemently on politics and the worldview, but I like her. She's smart. Well, she went on to go back and show where quotes of mine in the past years where I've said this person's corrupt or this group did this or whatever. And I stand by those. But nowhere are you going to find me calling somebody something like Hitler. It's as I've said to you before, there's this sorry, awful name that people use to call liberals libtards. I think it's awful. No one will ever hear that come out of, other than just now to say that's the word, but no one, I would never. Matter of fact, I try to focus on somebody's behavior. So what's happening now to the column is, well, everybody does it. Well, you've never heard Trump call anybody Hitler, never, and you never will. There is a point uh, at which you don't go beyond.
Did your mother ever say, if you can't say anything nice about it,
Yeah,
somebody, don't say anything
yeah,
at
and
all?
man, imagine the world if we could do that. Matter of fact, I'm working on a column for a couple of weeks from now. The the idea is to say, what if in society we did? You ever seen The Purge, the movie The Purge?
Don't think so.
Sammy has. The Purge is uh, the government, law enforcement finally says, we got so much pent up anger in society. It says we're going to have 24 hours. We're going to, huh? 12 hours? 12 hours to purge that all out of your system, meaning anything goes. Murder, chop them up, put them in a wood chipper, whatever you want to do. We're going to give you 12 hours. That's the purge. We're purging the
Everybody
evil.
in the whole country?
Everybody in the country. The purge. That's what it's about. So you can imagine what the movie shows and all
Yeah,
this stuff.
yeah.
Well, here's what I'm working on is what if we did an opposite purge? What if we said, you know what? What if we said I'm going to make it 24 hours. What if we said for 24 hours, we will do almost what you just said? I don't want to get all mushy and goofy and all that, weak and
Mm,
soft,
right.
snowflakish.
Yeah.
But what if we said in America, for the next 24 hours, we either are going to speak articulately or listen articulately or listen attentively. We're not going to do one or more of the other. And if we have to do one more than the other, we'll listen more than the other. But what if America just said for 24 hours, we're going to have a purge? And the purge is all the volatility, that we're just going to focus on what's good for our country, what's good for our neighbor, what's good for our businesses. What would that look like? So I'm working on a draft now to say, this is what I think it would look like. So the issue with the column, and we're going to close on this, is stop.
That'll be what we call fiction reading.
Yeah, exactly. But stop with these labels. If you want to call Trump something, call him Orange Man, call him Comb Over, call him
Is
whatever.
is Orange Man reference to the fact that his hair used to be?
No,
Was-
to his tan
Oh,
stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know why a billionaire. I love Trump, but I don't know why a billionaire
Yeah,
can't
we
find
had a
better
gal
tan
in
than
college,
that.
Band de Soleil, I think was the name of that product.
Probably, yeah.
Maybe
But
it
I mean,
was. Yeah,
they saturate the market with this stuff.
yeah,
Some of it's really good, and then some of it, you
yeah.
turn orange. Like Trump, I don't know why can't Melania say, let's just buy a state of the art bed, and you do that. Uh, but anyway, call Trump whatever you want to. I don't have any problem with that. I have a problem with people calling him Hitler, and I have a problem with people assigning labels that have not been studied or considered as to what the label actually means. It's stupid. All right.
All right,
Got it?
got it.
And Truck says there's a reason why the Democrat Party's approval rating has tanked. I would tend to agree.
No doubt.
Yeah, and Terry says call Trump Mr. President. Yep. I mean, I despise Joe Biden. I think he is corrupt. I think he is a bad dude. I even think in some ways he's evil, but I've never called him anything. I don't even call him Sleepy Joe. I just say he's corrupt and he's a bad guy. That's what I think.
I've heard you call him Sleepy Joe.
Oh, have I?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, if there's anybody that looks sleepy, it's either me or Joe Biden because I'm sleep. I'm napping is my hobby.
I just took a huge yawn. I just went like that.
Yeah, I mean I've been yawning all morning. So anyway, there you go. Um, that's that. So what do we got now? All right.
March Madness.
I got to show y'all something. So we're gonna fill out our Sweet 16 brackets, me, Sammy, and Jeff. So I said to Sammy this morning, I said, Sammy, we need a. Sammy said to me, he said, Dad, should we do a full bracket or just find a Sweet 16 bracket? I said, just find a Sweet 16 bracket. They're in everywhere. So Sammy's gone for about 5 minutes, and of course he went to his girlfriend to ask her to help him. He didn't go try to find it on his own. And he comes back and he says, Dad, I can't find. Tell me when I'm wrong, Sammy. Just make your
You're
noise.
already wrong. You said go to Kennedy's computer and find a
Well, you didn't
bracket.
have
That's
to
right,
listen
that's
to
right.
me. But you go. So about 5 minutes later, Sammy comes back and what does he say, Jeff? Because you've been defending Sammy, but you're
Well,
gonna have to weigh in on
I
this.
couldn't find one.
That's what Sammy said. I couldn't
Yeah,
find one, so I said, okay, Sammy, just hang tight. Give me 2 minutes. So I go to my computer,
and
and
he
in
gets
two
it done in
minutes,
60 seconds.
and I find a bracket, Sweet 16 bracket, which we're about to use and fill out. And I'm like, Sammy, how could you not find this? And he's Sammy. Obviously, he's my son, and I love him with all of my soul. And when he smiles like he's been busted, I can spot it a mile long. It's like he just swallowed a canary.
My wife says that about me all the time.
What, that you swallow a canary or that she
No,
can
that
tell?
she can
Yeah.
tell. She
Oh
can tell.
yeah. I'm sure we all can tell.
Yeah.
Sonia could probably tell. By the way, a random thought for me right now is I know you're going to argue with me, but I have the best wife God ever made.
We had this conversation last week
We did.
and Tuesday.
Well, no, we were talking
You
about being out kicked. I'm talking about
kicking your coverage. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, most people say that in terms of the appearance, but
Oh,
I'm talking about all of
package.
it.
Yeah.
Just I couldn't have done better. Anyway, so Sammy comes. So I give Sammy. So that's enough, Chuck. Right. So Sammy can't find it. I found it in 2 seconds. I told Sammy, I said, my back's killing me from carrying you for 20 years.
And then you said,
Sammy,
go print it off.
so we go print it off. So Sammy comes back, and let me show y'all something. Rather than just a normal bracket that we can fill out and see, I'm 63 years old. Jeff's a little older. We can't hardly see. This is what we get. Can y'all see it? Where can they see it, Sammy? Can y'all see that? I mean, I didn't say go find a pygmy bracket. I said go find a bracket.
And you know what I said? Sammy, thank you very much for saving paper that we didn't need to waste.
And now it's my turn. My dad goes and prints off this, and it's this.
I didn't print it out. That's the way it was said printable.
Well,
you
hit the button print. So, anyways, it's a full paper, and this is at the very top.
The smallest bracket
and
in the history of man.
I cut off the excess white, and he starts laughing at me. So
John is coming to your. But anyway, see this, y'all? I can't even see it. I'm just gonna have to shut my eyes.
And the funny thing is, it was the same thing, just a little bit more white.
Yeah. Anyway.
So
well done, son.
I think I would.
We know everybody wanted to know all that. Now let's go.
What you can say is, Dad, you got the bracket, so be quiet.
That's
all
right.
right, so here we go. We're gonna fill this out to the very end. So don't be coming up with.
I got it all right here.
All right, Sammy. Starting with Sammy. Auburn or Michigan?
Michigan.
Oh, Jeffrey.
Auburn. I am going against all Big Ten at this point.
And this is a diehard Crimson blood Bama fan saying Auburn. Ole Miss, Michigan State.
Michigan State.
Ole Miss.
I got Ole Miss too, Sammy. All right, we're gonna stay with that for now.
Okay.
So that gets us down to the Elite Eight bracket portion. Auburn or Ole Miss? I'm staying with the game that we just.
Well, y'all have different ones
Don't
than
we
I do.
just go?
Let me do it my way. I'm the host of this show.
Okay, so who did you have winning those first two games?
I got Auburn and Ole Miss.
Okay.
And then the winner of that.
Who you got? Auburn. Okay.
Who you got?
I got Michigan State versus Michigan, and I'm going to take Michigan.
Oh, Sammy's got Michigan. So who do you got?
I got Ole Miss.
All right. So you got Ole Miss going to the Final Four, right?
Yep.
All right. Next down, go down to the other ones. Oh, Chuck's got Michigan State and Auburn. Terry B's at Auburn. Come on, Terry. We don't need that many Auburn